Okay, here we go with track number 5. This is Bridge Over Troubled Water by Roberta Flack. Sean, you brought us this one, and I'm very curious to hear more about it.
Yeah, it's probably an atypical song, or maybe one that you didn't expect, but the pandemic was a time that was very hard on me personally. It was very hard at work. It's probably the worst period of my entire career, and was confusing and difficult in so many ways that I think everybody felt parts of that. And during that time, for whatever reason, I was really drawn to some Motown and Motown adjacent music. And I just went on long walks just to try to get out of the house, but you can't really do that with anybody, and felt kind of isolated. And for some reason, I just felt really drawn to go backwards in time, and was listening to tons of Marvin Gaye and the Temptations and Bill Withers and a bunch of Motown and Motown adjacent stuff, like I said, during this time. But this particular song was the one that packed the most feeling, and felt like it was the one that spoke to me the most in that moment. It's so quiet in some parts, so intimate and connecting, but and then opens up in other parts with just the the full vocal range, the full swell of the piano, with the full sustain pedal and all of it. It just it's this incredible arrangement of a Simon and Garfunkel cover, and she just does it in the most touching and soulful way. Just gorgeous powerhouse vocals. You could strip this back, and just the fact that the piano is so understated, her voice is just front and center throughout. So when you think about I Lay Me Down and Sia's Lie Down, I think they're being used a little differently. But I think in this case, the I Will Lay Me Down very much is, I will be the one to see you through. I will be the bridge over the troubled water, even if it means I give everything to make that happen. And I think there's something about that companionship and the hopefulness that brings out, the uplifting nature of having someone on your side, and knowing that you're not doing it all alone, just feels so important. There's always some troubled water somewhere. All you have to do is go look for it. And certainly is probably one of the biggest gifts in your life is to have someone that that wants to help you through those moments. And so this was the song that was that important to me. It's I've mentioned this to you before on the playlist, that I have a bit of a working playlist of songs that I hope to be played at the time of my passing, which I intend to make into a giant party. But this one would be one of the earlier ones in that progression, and it's just one of those things. It's something that I hope people feel, that that I'm that bridge over troubled water at some point, and that I make myself available to have you be that for me along the way. Because I think people ask, well, what's the meaning of life, or what's our reason for being here? And I think it's this. I think it's to help each other through these moments. And so this is the song that represents that the most to me. And it's a 1971 song, or at least it was recorded by Roberta in 71. I think the Simon and Garfunkel version is from the late 60s. And it's just one of these songs that stands the test of time. And I think this arrangement of it is the most moving one of them all. So talk about a perfect song. This is yet another one, and interested to know how much about this song y'all know, because it's it's in an era that we don't go into all that often, at least not that I'm aware of that you do, and so yeah, I'm interested to know what you think. So Grant, I want to see what you think of it to start.
Well, I was lucky enough to get Dad's record collection when he offered it, and talk about early perfect albums. I mean, this is one of those. 1957, I think, is there's a couple dates on here. That 1969 is when they wrote some of these. It's hard to tell the actual release date of this, but when Dad, I guess the benefit of being the last guy in the house. Hey, do you want my records or my record player? And unfortunately, the record player didn't survive the moves, but the records that he had, like this one, have. And I have listened to it because this is such a timeless record. To imagine what it was like listening to it in the 70s when Dad bought it, listening to it on the record, and then listening to it in the context now, especially in light of losing Roberta Flack in February of this year, who I read had Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, and so offered so much to us, and somebody we lost within the last couple months, is pretty powerful. The song, the version that she puts, like you said, forward on her voice, where Paul Simon on this is a little bit more, I guess just it's such a down-tempo song, obviously, but it's not elevated in the way the Roberta songs and the composition did for her, as it should. Such a powerhouse and such a presence, and the voice has got to come forward at around that 3-minute mark where she's singing "The When Darkness Comes" and pain is all around. It just soars, and the timing and the artistic patience to get to that point, to let that be the soaring part, it's timeless. The 7 minutes or so that the song has listening in the car, it is worth every minute to be able to just kind of like let yourself sit in there. And it's not always the easiest time and place for it, but if you have that time sitting in traffic or reflecting or feeling super down, what I thought was interesting too is we were talking about catastrophes, and flooding is one that both you all have faced, and the literal idea of how do you help people in the flood, and who can be the bridge, sometimes a physical bridge, sometimes a metaphorical bridge of how do you help people in those troubled times. It seemed like it was extremely fitting. I also think like it's sitting nestled in the middle of this playlist felt very right as well. I don't think you can open with a song like this. I think you have to kind of work yourself up to it, get yourself a little bit of emotional warm up, get the emotional muscles ready, and then this song really hits super hard. So super great. Happy to let y'all borrow this anytime if you want. It's fun to hold in your hands. Dad, nice job taking care of the record to hand to me. Some of his records didn't last as much, but this is one that I definitely want to hang on to.
Nice. That's awesome, you guys. Well, I was very pleased to see this one land, partly because Roberta Flack is born in Black Mountain. Let me bookmark that for a moment and say, having heard your story, Sean, and what this means for you, and to track back to the pandemic and us scheduling our calls weekly as brothers, that ultimately led to, hey, let's make a collaborative playlist. Hey, let's make a podcast. So here we are, a direct result of those hard times that then brought us together, and through the very act and art of spending time together, finding something that we love to do, which is to find great music and talk about great music and do that together. And now we're doing it for us and our descendants and our parents. Hi, Mom. So I think it's really precious to be here in the middle of this this collection of songs, this playlist. What we've talked about, I think early on we talked about like the heart center, where you place a song in the middle of a playlist that feels like the sort of the real emotional drive of a playlist. And I think that your story really hits that home. So thanks for that. Yeah, here in Black Mountain, the way I know that Roberta Flack is born here is that we have one of the only murals that covers an entire building here in Black Mountain is of Roberta Flack. And so knowing that she's born here is something it's definitely in the psyche of being here in Black Mountain. And I love that. I love that we know that. I love that there's a memorial to her. I did just find out, and I didn't realize this until now, that she passed on the 24th of February. So she just recently passed. She had been living in Arlington, where her family moved to. So just cool to connect to Roberta Flack, to a local musician out of North Carolina. And then for this song, when it came on, what was interesting is I immediately thought, this is definitely Roberta Flack's song, and Simon and Garfunkel covered it. And to find out that wasn't the direction that it went was also revealing and interesting. And we've talked about this again with some of the covers, the way an artist can bring their artistry to somebody else's song, and it does something unique and different to it. I think the fact that it is Roberta Flack doing that, and that she's from Black Mountain, and this is where the hurricane just hit, and that she passed, like there's all these layers of emotion just in bringing that song to the fore. But then when we tie in our own personal stories, there's something else that comes alive. So thanks for putting it on here. Feels great that it's here. It feels a little bit like you guys have been that bridge for me in my career and in my personal life, and certainly while I was down there in Houston and visiting with you, Sean, and thinking of the 31st episode and really struggling to find my creativity. It really helped me get over those hard times and get back to the creative work that I do with this podcast. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. I think it's fun when there's many meanings. And so I think the spirit of the song, of the words that are written here, is about a person helping another person with sort of whatever it takes. Beyond that, the reason that the song's on the playlist is because this song has been a bridge over troubled water for me at times, as has this podcast. And the fact that we're many episodes in, I find that the work that we do to go through the thought process of coming up with the theme and aligning the songs and then doing the research, it's one of these really fulfilling things. It's really, in some ways, it's kind of hard to explain why it's so fulfilling. And even today, there's hustle and bustle around me as I'm sitting here talking about music. And it feels like the most important thing to me. And I think the reason why is because it is a bridge over troubled water. And I think it helps me maintain that sense of purpose, remind me of things that truly matter to me, and then to use the bridge when I need it to get through the troubled water. And I don't think I saw that necessarily during the pandemic. I just knew that as I took these long, slow walks outside month after month after month with nobody there. I mean, sometimes I would walk with Katie, of course, but many times, I mean, work was so hard that we were working from, before the sun came up to many hours beyond when the sun went down, that it was so isolating in so many different ways. And it's occurring to me from the project how much there was troubled water at the time, and how that sort of Motown and Motown adjacent playlist was kind of exactly what I needed. I still listen to it all the time. It's one that I listened to several times earlier this week. There's some great music from that era. So much so to where that might be a podcast theme someday that we do, is just to go into an era that we don't know very well and just go explore the best songs, or the songs that, like you go find the songs. It's not songs that you pull out of your repertoire, but it's songs that that we go find because we recognize that the era was incredible. So that's why it's here, and very much appreciate your reactions to it. So thanks for the theme to open the door to this song.
Yeah, you got it. All right, here's Bridge Over Troubled Water by Roberta Flack from the 1971 album Quiet Fire.